In my last video, some of you were asking me how I met my wife, and so now I'm going to show you how I knew that she was the one that God sent me, because it was kind of a weird journey in the way we met. See, in the past, I always thought that if I met a girl and the timing wasn't right, that she would never be the one for me to date. It's pretty stubborn and pretty rigid in the way I was thinking, and I would say that that's often the case, that's often true. But what happened in this situation when I met my wife is we met country dancing, and we were really into each other from the start, a year before we even started dating. But then as we're dating, it was very clear that some of our values at the time weren't lining up. And so long story short, I felt this inner tug and this confusion because I really liked her. But then also I felt like this was a hold the brakes, this might not be the one. And so for a bit there, we actually went our own separate ways. But then we kept crossing paths, maybe every few months at this place. So what ultimately happened was, after some dating in between for both her and for myself separately, the last time I finally saw her again at that place, before we started dating, things were different. There was something about her that stood out. There was this peace that she had. And something inside of me said, you know what? You've been putting up a wall, because in my mind, I thought there was not going to be a chance for either of us, right? And so I had my guards up. You know, we'd go out country dancing. I would be dancing. I would keep my distance, almost pretend like I didn't see her, kind of silly stuff. But in that moment, just something told me, go talk to her. And it was different, because in this situation, I could tell she was going through something. And instead of thinking of it straight from, I want to date you, or with some sort of a motive, it was more of compassion and trying to show her, hey, I care about what it is you're going through. And I can put aside, if we're not meant to be together, that's okay. Talking to you just like a friend. So ultimately, it really meant a lot to her with whatever it is we were talking about. But part of me still wondered, God, why am I still running in the same paths that she is? It doesn't make sense to me, right? Because my past dating experience was always a one and done, where if you're dating someone and it doesn't work out, you don't usually see them again. And God was challenging this past belief I had that, yes, it might be possible it's the right person, but the wrong time. Now, when we first tried dating briefly the year prior to this, my future wife and I, we both believed in God. We were at different points in our journey, but it was very clear that we would not have led the dating with Christ as a firm foundation. It would have been more of two people really into each other that are dating that both happen to be Christian, versus, no, we are relying on Christ before we even go forward. And I talk about this in my other videos you can check out in the last week. And what was really cool is I started praying about this. And she asked me to go on a coffee date. I'm praying about it. I'm thinking, you know what? I already feel like I'm afraid of getting attached again. And this is already a path we've crossed. And praying more and more about it, I thought, why not? Let's maybe just do this as friends. I'm going to try and tell myself this is not someone for me to date. And when we went on that coffee date, the level of vulnerability and just sincerity that we shared with one another, we really had a depth and a connection, and even talking about our faith that we didn't have the year prior. And so long story short, that coffee date basically became our first date, and we started dating. And the dynamics were completely different than the year before. Because the year before, we both were coming from a place of, I want to date someone. I need to date someone. It's all about attraction. It's all about, having fun together. But when it comes to Matthew 7:25 in Scripture, we know that you need to have a firm foundation, or else this house is going to crumble, right? And so the mindset for the both of us was different. And there was this level of peace that we didn't experience in that first year where we gave it a try. Because in that first year, it was like that really crazy highs and lows, almost honeymoon phase. But we didn't really have the foundation there. But the second go around, from the beginning and to this day, So now we've been married a little bit over a year. We've been together going on 4 years. And it's been like day one where we have that Christ centered peace, like Philippians 4:7 tells us. And it's been wonderful because he has been at the center of our marriage and our relationship since the beginning. And our faith is growing. And so the way I started seeing that she is for me, it was a couple of things, right? One, you're not leading with just dating somebody because they're pretty or just because they're a Christian. Two, separately, we were building our faith one on one privately with God instead of trying to rely on each other to basically build our faith or to assume that a relationship is going to save you or it's going to suddenly make your life happy when true joy comes from the Lord. And you want to make sure that you're on good terms with the Lord in terms of relying on him and being faithful to him before you step into what ultimately became our marriage. And another way I really knew she was the one for me was the level of peace that I had never experienced dating in the past, because there's a difference between happiness and excitement and strong attraction for someone and pure peace, where yeah, we're really madly in love with each other and the attraction's there, but there is a peace at the core of it that comes from Christ and Christ alone, not from your relationship. And not only that, but the second time around, getting to talking more and more, we had spent our own separate journeys apart from each other for a year, and already the second time, now that we are having that coffee date, it's clear that our values were actually in line. We were looking for the same things, and that's so important because when God tells us to be equally yoked, he has our best interests at heart. He's going to find you that spouse where you guys are going to share the same values, you're going to share the same desires. It doesn't mean you never have a disagreement, but that can actually be a good thing if it's healthy conflict, because you can still grow together even with that. And that's just a bit of my story. And so you tell me in the comments, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think God has someone lined up for you? I know a lot of you had been waiting for so long to meet someone and you've been discouraged. And let me tell you, it can take a while, and that's okay, because I waited almost a good decade to finally meet someone that's the kind of quality, godly woman that my wife is. So I'm here to tell you, if I could do it, you can do it too, because even when it feels lonely sometimes and you're wondering, is someone the one, just remember to rely on Christ, making sure to vet this person. He's going to reveal to you their heart, their values, making sure you're sharing those values, especially having the same faith and leading with that, making sure you're not unequally yoked with someone. And I promise you, if you've been discouraged, you tell me in the comments below. Let's be here for each other, because there will be better days ahead. I can't promise when God's timeline is for you to meet someone. It's all different. Some people are high school sweethearts, married their whole lives. Some people like myself, it took a while, and it took a lot of heartbreak to finally meet someone like my wife. And some of you are older than I am, and I just want us to remember that God is faithful and he has a plan for all of us, like Jeremiah 29:11 tells us. And if you're going through a breakup right now or a tough time, check out the description below, because I did put together a simple action plan for you if you do want to support this ministry. Love you all. God bless, and I'll see you later.